You're listening to RTL SA.
Right, so in 2007 he completed a lifelong dream of traveling from South Africa to London solo on a motorbike, an amazing adventure all round, and he traveled through 15 countries over 18,000 kilometers to do this. And while he was on this little trip, he just decided that he's going to climb a little hill called Kilimanjaro as well, just to throw it into the mix. And now he's on a new challenge, as we saw in the little intro over there. Andrew Wood joining me on RTL SA. Welcome to it. Good to see you, mate.
Oh, good to see you. Thanks for having me on RTL.
Now, you know what? I've known you for a few years now, and I don't think we've ever really discussed your adventures, and it's actually shocking. How many beers have we had and never really actually got into it?
Well, this is true. I'm pretty much under the radar. I don't do this for the rah-rah or anything like that. It's things I do, things I enjoy doing, and people who know, and I do it. I just get on with it.
All right, give us a little bit of a background. Tell us a little bit about why you got started adventuring, because I mean, it all started just after school when you did scuba diving and instructing and stuff like that. Give us a little bit of a background and just tell us why you do what you do and what your thinking is behind it.
I can call it an itch that never gets scratched. It's one just gets to the next one, leads to the next one, and then the adventures get bigger. I've always had that adventurous spirit, business. I'm a bit entrepreneurial. I like to try things, side hustles, do the whole lot. But as far as the adventure stuff, it's there to be done. We live in an amazing continent, amazing country, amazing world. At this stage, you know, I've kept everything pretty local as far as Africa and South Africa. And it's true what they say. You want to achieve something, you go for it, you achieve it, and then once you've achieved it, something inside you is not satisfied. You want the next challenge, the next adventure. You want to see more. You want to do more. And since 2007, I've been itching for the next one and trying to puzzle what is going to be the next adventure. And this is what's happened and where we're at. I've decided to do this new trip. And as I said, it's an itch that never gets scratched.
Okay, now before we get into your new adventure, let's talk about some of your old adventures, because as I mentioned, obviously you did the solo travel on the bike between South Africa and the UK. What was the thinking behind that? And tell us a little bit about the experience.
The thinking behind that, that was a lifelong dream to do the whole Cape to Cairo, you know, the notorious Cape to Cairo that everyone talks about. And as a kid growing up, I always wanted to do it. I listened to people who had done similar trips, and it was always to do Cape to Cairo. And then over the years, I enjoy motorbikes. It morphed into going by motorbike. And 2006, the opportunity presented itself where business-wise, relationship-wise, everything sort of fell into place, and I committed to the date, and I did it in 2007, and I did the trip. And it was a lot of holidays all in one, if you want to think of it as that. You know, there was the motorbike riding, the countries to visit, the things to do in each country. There was Kilimanjaro on the way. There was the physical motorbike challenges of riding through the desert or riding through northern Mozambique and things like that. And as I said, a whole lot of holidays morphed into one. And I guess I'm a person of extremes. It's either on the couch or on the bike.
Now, what was the most challenging part of that trip? What would you say was the most challenging part of the trip?
Funny enough, the most challenging part had absolutely nothing to do with the trip in a sense. The most challenging part was red tape. You know, the physical challenge of riding the bike, the physical challenge of taking a tough track, the physical challenge of climbing Kilimanjaro, you know, that's mind over matter. And you figure it out within yourself what you can and can't do and how to sort it out. What you can't sort out is other people. And that's where the red tape issues just completely were very demoralizing. For example, to get into Egypt, you know, it's a 4-day process, assuming everything's right, a lot of money, a lot of offices, a lot of paperwork. To leave Egypt was the same thing, 13 different offices and 25 different pieces of paper you had to go through. Sudan, I had to get the visa in Nairobi. And again, same process. You're dealing with people that just aren't motivated like you to get moving. you're dealing with government departments, and that was the most frustrating. And I actually lost an entire month in Egypt trying to do paperwork for the rest of my trip going into the Middle East and through Europe. An entire month lost, the cost of accommodation, no traveling, just going in and out of embassies and the like. So that was the biggest challenging, the toughest challenge of the whole trip. But the rest of it, it's fun. The challenges are fun.
Now, I wanted to ask you, with regards to accommodation, did you spend a lot of time camping, or did you stay in, what, I would assume bed and breakfast or something like that? Or was it a bit of both?
Camping, I was quite lucky. I didn't camp a lot. I didn't do much free camping as such, free camping where you literally pull up and find a spot and put a tent up. Camping, there was a bit of camping, but not a lot. The wonderful thing about the Africa trip is you're pretty much going on a general route that everyone follows. And on that route, when you stay at one place, you tell the people where you're going to for your next night, and they know people in that town, or they know backpackers, or they know a campsite, or they know people, and they tell you, get hold of that person, tell them I say hello, and they'll sort you out for accommodation. So you sort of bunny hopping along on the route and going to the same place that other people go to. And it's funny enough, I'm following a Facebook post of another guy who did the trip 10 years later, and he stayed in all the same places I stayed in along the way, the exact same route practically. And so there was always a place to stay.
No, that's cool. Now, before you even did this trip, you did another crazy little trip where you decided you wanted to see in the Millennium at Lake Malawi, but you took that trip with a slight difference. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that probably was my first true, test of adventuring, going out of the border, out of the comfort zones. And did that with a very good mate of mine, Wade McPherson, also a bit of an adventure in his own right. And again, it probably over a few beers, or maybe too many beers, we said, right, let's go see in the Millennium, and let's do it the tough way. And yes, as you said, it was a bit different. We relied 100% on public transport. Once we got dropped off at Bart Bridge border, we walked across the border, and then it was public buses, taxis, throwing a thumb out and catching a lift, whatever it was, we found our way. And we went all the way through Zimbabwe to Malawi, came back through Mozambique, back to Joburg, and then home again.
My goodness. And how long did that trip take?
That whole trip was, going back a long time, that was 20 years ago. That was probably about 2-3 weeks, the whole trip.
Okay, not too bad. And the Millennium, the trip to Cape Town to South Africa to Cairo, how long was that trip overall?
Yeah, the Durban to London trip was 4 months, 124 days. Bear in mind, in that I lost a whole month sitting in Egypt. Funny enough, just a side story there. Actually, on the trip, I developed the idea, because it was 2007, South Africa was playing in the World Cup in France. I actually had a proper plan to arrive at Stade de France with a sign on my motorbike, with a sign, I've driven all the way from Durban, can someone sponsor me a ticket to watch the final? And it actually developed into a plan, and unfortunately with all the red tape in Egypt, I ended up watching the World Cup in a 5-star hotel in Cairo.
Now, you've got to have some sort of balls to travel through Africa, to be honest with you. I mean, just traveling around in South Africa is a mission enough. And what would you encourage people to do it though? I mean, is it not too dangerous, or would you actually suggest it? If I can put it that way.
Absolutely, Noel. The reality is a lot of people are in a cage of their own. They create a lot of fear. Some can blame social media and things like that. Let's be realistic. South Africa is dangerous. Africa is dangerous. But with some common sense, keeping your eyes open, keeping your ears open, you can take yourself into a lot of safety, if I can say it that way. The other reality of it is when you start doing these sort of adventures, you're actually moving out of cities. You're in the rural areas, you're in the sticks, you with humble people, and you're with the real people. In the city, someone's always trying to get an angle on you, or someone's always trying to hustle you, and those are the where you come across the rogues, let's say that. But once you do adventure travel, the whole point of adventure travel is you're not going and looking at, walking down the high street of a city looking at monuments. You're actually in the bush. And those are real people. Those are genuine people. So the safety side of it is eliminated to a large extent.
And I was about to ask you, and you mentioned the hustling and things like that. Was it an expensive trip with regards to bribes? Because I know when you go to Mozambique, for example, you need to keep some spare cash just to get through certain points and things like that. Was it like that throughout Africa?
Oh, that's a brilliant question, and actually, I'm glad you asked that. The reality is, I didn't pay a single bribe. And
wow,
what I learned is very much, sad to say it, possibly a South African attitude that everything has to be done with a bribe. South African people, by generalization, we're in a rush. We want to get stuff done. We want to make it happen. And the way to do that is obviously grease a few palms and you get things done. What happens in Africa is things slow down. And if you are prepared to take that frame of mind where you're not in a rush, you're there for the journey, not the destination. I went through many roadblocks. And you arrive with a smile. The trick is, and I'll tell you exactly what the trick is. I'd see a roadblock. I'd pull up a few meters short of it. So straight away the guys are on their back foot. Why is this guy not coming to us kind of thing? Why is he stopping further away? I'd get off. I'd take my helmet off. I'd pull out a cool drink. I'd start having a snack and things like that. And the reality is they see I'm not in a rush. So I'm not going to be forced to pay a bribe. So then I get into a chat. You be friendly. You be polite. You be respectful. And after a few minutes, they can see this guy's not here to do this. He's here on doing his own thing, and they eventually just let you through. Never once was asked for money, not once. And I think it's entirely down to attitude. And don't go in there aggressive. Don't go in there already flashing the money, because of course, if there's a free Coke, the guy will take it. It's just attitude, I think.
Now, just before we talk about your future projects, tell us about Kilimanjaro. I think it is on a lot of people's bucket lists. Was that the plan on the outset, or did you just decide along the way to do it? And what was it like? How did it go?
It was planned. Once I decided on my Africa trip, my motorbike trip, it was the same mate who did Millennium with me, Wade McPherson. He and I discussed it, and we made a plan. And so if I had any real targets other than trying to get to Paris for the World Cup, my target was to get to the base of Kilimanjaro by a set date. Wade flew in from South Africa, and we then did the climb. So it was 100% planned. It wasn't a on-the-go kind of decision. I can honestly say, physically, one of the toughest things I've ever done, doing the climb. But from a satisfaction point of view, to actually summit and say that I've done it and I've been there, it was incredible. It is one of the best experiences I've ever had. The thing is a lot of people see it, and it's heavily marketed as, which is not the right thing, marketed as a walk. It's not mountaineering. You're not using ropes and things to go up. There are routes that you can do that, but I'm talking about the sort of the commercial route. But it's not a walk. You at 5,800 meters. That's 5.8 kilometers above sea level. You're higher than base camp at Everest. It's a 5-day walk. We did 6 days, taking an extra day for acclimatization. Physically, it challenged me. It was tough. And when I see you for a beer, I'll actually show you how slowly I was walking when you get to the top, because there's just zero oxygen. It's tough. It's really, really tough. And I'll put it down as one of my greatest achievements.
6 days to summit, or 6 days up and down?
6 days up and down. The way we did it is we took 3 days to get up to a certain point. Then we spent a day there to acclimatize to the height, because bearing in mind, Wade had flown in from Durban, which is sea level. I'd ridden up from the coast, so I was also in sea level. So our bodies weren't ready for altitude. So we took a day. Then it was another day to summit, and then literally you come down in a bit more than a day to come back down.
Cool. Let's talk about your plans now. Alexander Bay to Cozy Bay. What's that all about?
Again, been looking for an adventure. For a while, I've been puzzling what to do. And
I'm going to just butt in for 5 seconds quickly. Yeah. I'm going to stop you right there. You get adventure. Climbing Kilimanjaro is adventure. Jumping out of a plane is adventure. Walking, however, I don't consider an adventure.
The physical activity. The adventure part of it is where I'm going, there won't be, between villages, there's nothing. Everyone associates the beaches to, going down where, everyone else is, and you sit and chill and have a cool drink. There's going to be long stretches where I won't see anyone else, or just see some random villagers who just live there. That's where they are. That's where they live. That's where they farm. So the adventure part is that. The other adventure part is certainly there's going to be rivers that I'll have to swim across. There won't be bridges, so I'll have to swim across a river with my kit and everything. So that's where the adventure part comes in. There are going to be places where I will have to free camp, where I'm between villages. There's no accommodation, anything. I'm just going to have to find somewhere behind a dune and put up a tent. So that is the adventure part of it. Certainly the walking part of it is just a physical exertion. That's a physical challenge, but I'm not the first person to do this trip, so I have a little bit of reference of what it's like and what to see. And the gang, the fact is there's so much of this country that people have never, ever seen, and beautiful, stunning parts of the country. And, again, people's frame of reference is, from one town to the next town, you drive along, you look from your car, you see the beach. But the reality is if you walk on the beach, you're looking back at the land, and there's just places that people have, I won't say never been, but very few people have ever seen. And I want to see those places and be able to document it and take photos and show people.
Okay, so how are you going to do this trip? You say you're doing it in segments, in different parts.
Yeah, so the reality is, and I need to explain this because I haven't found a clever way of writing it for people to understand, is my circumstances are very different to when I did the motorbike trip in 2007. 2007, I set out and I said, I'll be back when I'm done, which was easy enough. The reality is now, my business needs me. I've got family now, so I can't just get up and disappear for 6 to 8 months. So I've chosen the month of April because of the number of public holidays we have. So if I take the whole month of April, add in all the public holidays, I'm actually missing very little business time. I'm missing a little bit of work, and it's not too much time away from my family. So the way it's going to work is I'll do it until it's done. 1st of April, I'll be at the beginning of the trip in Alexander Bay. I'll walk as far as I can for the month of April. When I get to the end of the month, I'll come home, and that's it, done for the year. The following year, I'll then go back to where I left off and continue for another month, and then come home. And then I'll just do that every single year, and I'm predicting anywhere from 6 to 8 years, or 6 to 8 months if you consolidate it, until the trip's done. So I'm committed to a 6 to 8 year annual month holiday somewhere in South Africa.
Again, I don't consider walking a holiday, but that's just my personal preference. And Andrew, what amazed me most about it when we chatted the other day, you were saying that you're not doing this for any particular reason. It's not to raise funds for anybody specific, and you're not trying to raise funds to do this either. So it is purely for the enjoyment. Is that accurate? And obviously for the results, to say the achievement, so to say you've done it.
That's 100% correct, Noel. A lot of people try to attach their adventures or their expeditions to a charitable cause. And I query that, and maybe possibly a controversial thing I'm about to say now. Some people do that to get more attention on what they're trying to do. I'm not doing this for attention, first of all. I'm doing this because I want to do it. I want to share it with people because I think it's should be something that people might enjoy. People who wish to do something like this, they can maybe get confidence by seeing me do it, and then they'll do it. So I have some objections to attaching an adventure to a charitable cause to raise money for something. I think you're piggybacking on it. Having said that, there are people who do it very successfully and do raise a lot of money for someone or something. My motorbike trip, I did raise money for someone, and I raised a lot of money for him, and it was a feel-good factor that I did it for that friend of mine, and he needed the money. But also it takes away from what you're trying to do for yourself, because also I find myself spending a lot of time trying to motivate people to follow the charitable side of it. So I don't want to say it's a selfish thing I'm doing or I'm trying to push people away. Certainly, if someone wants to use me, if you want to say that to for their cause, I'm more than welcome to attach my name to it, because I'm happy to go do talks. I'm happy to speak to people to raise awareness of what they're doing. This is also part of the reason why I'm doing this. I'd like to get into public speaking, motivational speaking, and use this trip as material as such. But and again, I'm not trying to go out there and say I'm not doing this trip until I get sponsored for all the kit. I'm doing it. I want to do it. It's for me. It's for people who want to enjoy the trip. And if a brand does want to use me as a guinea pig to test their product and be a product reviewer, brand ambassador, whatever, yeah, great. Come along. I'm more than welcome. We'll take the invite. But at the end of the day, I want to do this. And whatever joins me on it, whether it's a brand or a charity or other people, more the merrier, and you're more than welcome to join.
If you weren't walking, I might have considered it. But I ain't doing no walking.
You can do South Beach to North Beach with me when I come through Durban.
Okay, that sounds like a plan. I'll join you for that. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us. And well done, on everything you've achieved and everything you've done so far. And I'm excited to follow you along on this journey and to see how you achieve. 8 years is a long time to cover a journey, but I think it's going to make for a hell of a highlights package afterwards.
It will, but bear in mind, it's a month at a time. If you don't mind, if I can just say, if people do want to follow me, there's a couple of platforms that they can join in on. Obviously, there's the website, which is www.alextukosi.co.za with the number 2. There's Alex Tukosi on Instagram, Alex Tukosi on Facebook, and there's also a YouTube channel where I'll be uploading my vlogs or video uploads as I go along. At this stage, it's training, and then it will become on the trip itself. I'll be uploading videos. So effectively, Alex Tukosi, and that's where you can find all the links.
Fantastic. Andrew, have yourself a great weekend, and we'll chat again, probably closer to the time.
Noel, thank you very much. Really appreciate it, and all the best. Thank you.
That's Andrew Wood joining us on Zoom and talking about his adventures that he's going to take on when he takes a long walk from Alexander Bay to Cozy. I'm still stuck on this whole walking thing. Anyway, best of luck to him, and what an achievement he's already got with Kilimanjaro and traveling through Africa and public transport all the way through to Lake Malawi. Incredible adventures that he has got, and you can go follow him on YouTube, like I was saying, as well as Facebook, Instagram, on all the details. It's Alex Tukosi. That's the number 2 in between the 2 words as well.